with these stakeholders to create safe spaces for work, play, and to empower our youth and senior adults. We talked about operationalizing the comprehensive plan and working towards building, transitioning from the first bond of economic development and moving into the next two bonds for our city library and city hall library project and our rec center. So we talked about, those will be the goals that we'll be closing out some of those workforce development and economic projects and then moving to those spaces. And then lastly, we talked about trying to work towards a highway solution for 290 and 973. And so right now, I'm very proud to kind of to share the accomplishments and the headway we've made, and not only those things I just mentioned, but everything we talked about in 2024. I guess it was 2024 for 2023 or for 2024. I always get kind of confusing on dates, but everything we talked about we was going to do last year. We'll start with our overall administration office led by Scott Moore. Just proud to announce, and this is connected to our finance department as well. We were able to secure a top bond rating of capital lowercase a. It's a financial rating for our $15 million bond. If you want to know, that's top. So congratulations to our city. It's it's evidence of the city operating with integrity, accountability, and systems that meet the legal expectations for transparency. And so I just want to make sure we highlight those things because sometimes, people don't know what they know unless you tell them what's going on. So congrats to you, to the finance department and Mr. Moore. We also secured about $5 million from the Central Texas Regional Mobile Authority to initiate a corridor study, feasibility study for Highway 290. And if you're unaware of what that means is you can't do a major highway project without having a feasibility study. And so the fact that we have those dollars committed to that puts us one step closer to having a through third for Highway 290. You can clap for that, yeah. You clap for whatever you want to clap for. It's all good news. It's all good news. So we continue to nurture a relationship with Maine RSD, and so I know some of the community members are wanting us to figure out how we can be able to offer programs and spaces in the community. And so our city manager and our superintendent, Dr. Robert Samani, meet regularly, and the exchange has allowed for us to have events indoors, and we're looking forward to the continued partnership that exists and nurturing that partnership with shared resources and facilities. We have sidewalks under construction on 290 at the from the medical tower as well as on Ring Road, and so we're excited about that because it's a commitment towards safe pathways for our residents that do not have cars or prefer to walk or use automated wheelchairs. So we're excited about that. Um, During the COVID-19 situation, there was also infrastructure dollars that was set aside, and we are using about 3.3 million of those dollars to actually continue to expand sewer infrastructure in the Manor Commercial Park, which is going to yield millions of dollars later on of revenue for the city of Manor. We secured another $1.2 million of restricted and unrestricted funds from Lennar Homes to invest in city needs. And we moved on to our second bond. I think we announced it in November. Yeah, the November 21st meeting. We've moved on to our second bond and securing about 8.4 acres of land so that we can do our Manor Town Square project, which will have our civic center, our resident, not residence hall, our library, and our city hall. So definitely excited about the work that's coming in the next few years with that bond project. Our finance department, Ms. Bilan, you were in here a second ago when I had everybody stand, but she's a new hire for us. And I tell you, we are thrilled about her expertise in finance and accounting. It's led to these ratings. It's also led to successful audits. And in that, we've been able to um, experience a 7% increase in our sales tax revenue. There's been some savings um, that we've encountered because we've instituted fiscally sound practices. We experienced, I think, over 20% an increase in sales is what she's reporting from water and sewer sales. Last year, this year we invested 5.6 million into water and wastewater infrastructure equipment and buildings. We allocated $300,000 to program community programs and services. We adopted a fiscal and grant policy, and a new solid waste contract with weekly bulk trash pickup options, and a 39% increase in residential accounts, which adds to about another $575,000 to the city. So thank you for all your hard work in the finance department and with our contracts. In our city secretary's office, again, over 400 pages of multi-page documents for city council and planning. Where's you at over there? So, and then helping to manage our live streams and archiving our records so people can stay connected with us. Over 800 open record requests were received and responded to in a timely manner. And then she just continues to win service awards, customer service award, and then an achievement excellence award that she's received for 3 years in a row. So we definitely are appreciative of you and your hard work. Our municipal court has increased their court security systems and customer service, made updates to policies and procedures. And one of the biggest ones that we're proud about is that they've created dual language documents for our residents and increased staff resources to support the workload for the increased growth from the through traffic that's happening in our city. So thank you to our court personnel who Judge is it Caballero? Last year, we actually announced him as our associate judge, and now he's our presiding judge. So we're excited about that movement, and want to thank Sophie and Isabel, Pamela, and Yesenia for their hard work with managing our municipal court system. Mr. Jones, economic development. He's completed our rebranding project with our new logos, has partnered with Opportunity Austin, which is one of the reasons why we have companies looking at Manor from all over the world. Because of the work that he's doing and the partnerships he's establishing, and as well as bringing employment opportunities to the city of Manor that are livable wages and career opportunities. And so up until recently, the biggest employer has been the school district. And now with all the companies that are coming to the area, we have some companies that will be able to employ more than 500 employees. He's been attracting new businesses to Manor, and we have closing the gap for about over 200 acres of future retail development that's coming this way. Warnock Materials, which is a supplier and connector to Samsung, is slated to do a $46 million investment in the city of Manor. Y'all can clap for $46 million. And they're going to bring jobs, facility that's going to be centered around industrial research, storage, and distribution. We're pretty much done and ready to start looking at our feasibility study on the 236 acres of land that we purchased for the city of Manor. That's going to be a destination space where we hope to attract regional and national attention. That again bringing us revenue, but also entertainment opportunities and shopping opportunities and lodging opportunities to our area. One of the other things we're proud about is that we were looking at how to play a part in affordability in this area. And so council met with legal and city staff for some time. And one of the things we ended up doing was creating a public facilities corporation. In this PFC, we launched 2 projects, and one is actually under construction now. It's a workforce affordable housing apartment complex that's at looks like market rate apartment, but it's definitely for folks that are working and don't necessarily make the income of the city of Austin. And so we're excited about that project, and we're excited about our next project on Tower Road. That's in the permitting process or the paperwork process, hoping to get the permitting. And that project as well will, again, provide folks that are working between $40,000, $50,000 or in that range, but can't seem to afford to stay in Central Texas. These projects will allow for them to be able to stay here. And so we're definitely excited about that, and we're thankful to W2 and Dominium for choosing Manor and choosing to build products that meet our expectations, but also products that are a labor of love to our community. We have been looking at downtown for some time, and I'm proud to announce that we do have a strategic downtown plan, and we have a downtown tax increment reinvestment zone. And what that's going to do is allow the increase of property values after our set rate was established a few meetings back, to allow that property value increase to actually reinvest into downtown areas. So we won't have to actually go out and find dollars, but it secures about I think $40 million over a series of several years that will be reinvested into this downtown area for infrastructure, sewer, sidewalks, and also to bring more businesses and opportunities to the area. So thank you again to Scott Jones and the city staff that did the necessary planning so we could make that strategic plan and that TIRS possible. And then one of the other things we're proud about is we were able to assist two businesses, local businesses, with rental assistance. Economy is tough right now, and when you have folks that are trying to make a living for their families, and the rent goes up, but their sales do not, they were able to turn to the city, and through our rental assistance program, we were able to help them out for I think a 6-month period, and then we extended the 6-month period for those two businesses as well. So definitely another positive in our economic development area. There's a lot of businesses coming, and I'm not going to read them all under economic development because some other people were trying to get some claim to the fame in those departments, but I will run through them real quick just so you're aware, and so it's for the people outside or online. New businesses: Transpac, logistics company, Dr. Pepper and Keurig, National Equipment Dealers, Rack Room Shoes, Jersey Mike's, Mattress Firm, TJ Maxx, Five and Below, Burlington Coat Factory, McAllis Deli, Ulta Beauty, James Avery, UPS, Planet Fitness, Breaks Plus, Dollar Tree, Stephen Miller's, State Farm, East Styles Hair Salon, Presidential Self Storage, Sports Clips, Twin Liquors, Papa John's, Pacific Dental, Wax in the City, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, and Milk and Tea, just to name a few of the new businesses coming to our city. And the positive about this is just in the few areas that are already under construction, we're talking about 1,500 new jobs and about $400 million in capital investments. So. Next up is Mr. Mike Burrell, who's been serving as our interim director for development services, and I left a little bit for you for your permits, so you got some claim to fame. But some of the highlights that I want to throw out there is, again, development services. They do the permitting. They make sure they walk people through the planning process and construction process. And so they're dealing with about 1,400 permits. And I think we even gave you all some extra staff in the last year or so to manage the increase of in amount of work that we have going on. 3 multifamily projects that are going on. 2 of those are the cities. About 500 single family and duplex homes underway, and 10 new commercial buildings. So these are not what I've already listed. Salad and Go, Chick-fil-A, Dutch Brothers, Platinum 973 gas station, Home Depot, Frost Bank, Seven Brew Coffee, Universal Federal Credit Union, Chili's, and HEB. That's a big one. And that's about a total of about $313 million in new taxable values with that list. New projects that are in the permitting process: Waffle House, Chipotle, Popeyes, Ventura Apartments, HTO, Midas, St. David's Medical Facility, Bojangles, another McDonald's off of Presidential Glen, Highland Dairy, and 5F Mechanical. And don't forget about these other projects that are still in progress, which is Abbott's Frozen Custard, Discount Tire, the Manor Animal Hospital, Town Place Hotel, and Hampton Inn. So we have a lot of construction and a lot of opportunities that are coming to our city. I want to thank our Human Resources Department, led on the leadership of Tracy Vasquez, for the work you're doing, creating the youth internships programs. You definitely had a lot, but I just wanted to highlight that we're working with our school districts, students from Pflugerville and from Maynard ISD, with Matt Woodard and Public Works, and our students are getting internships and opportunities to work with the city while they're young, and then that's transferring up, and it's creating an opportunity for them to learn about the city and the benefits of the city and how they can work here, live here, and have a nice career. So thank you for doing that work and for continuing to work with the Travis County Summer Youth Employment Program to ensure our students are supported and have career opportunities. Another thing is that she in the process of getting our staff more benefits, she also was able to increase savings of $175,000 annually. So we got more benefits and we're saving money. So thank you and kudos to you. Mr. Field, information technology. He's been working to increase our communication network systems. He's moved all of our systems to AT&T, which not only gave us better service, but also some savings. So thank you, sir, for that. Updating all of our surveillance cameras, and then taking on managing the streaming technical pieces and our city website. So some time ago, we weren't able to stream our meetings, and we could only audio record and post it on a website. And so now you're able to watch live and see what's happening if you cannot make it in. So we thank you for making sure that those things are taking place. Chief Ryan in the police department. Again, updating technology, safety equipment, making sure that our officers are getting more training than all the neighboring law enforcement agencies. I wanted to jump to some things that I thought were pretty spectacular. Is that the police department hosts 84 free community engagement events. And some of the hits are the coffee with the cop, shop with the cop, and then their trailer that Chief brought to us to a council meeting where we outfitted a trailer that they can take into the community. And I was talking to somebody in Stonewater, and they were very excited about that trailer coming. It was like, bring it back more. So definitely excited about the work that you're doing in the community and the programs with Officer Rock being in the school. So I think you can police a community or you can be a part of the community. And I'm thankful that our police department works to be a part of our community. We also, three things also with the police department is one, Texas Department of Emergency Management has staff members that help, that we call, cities call, counties call when they need help in emergencies. And I don't know how Chief did it, but Chief was able to recruit one of their top folks to be our emergency management person for our city. And so, which is a huge need, being out here on the outskirts. And now we're good to go for emergency management. So that's a positive. We have our Detective Eden, who received Officer of the Year in Central Texas for her effectiveness and leadership in response to sexual assault and children crimes. And so we have some excellent leadership and excellent officers in our police department. And on top of all that, they also wrote grants and brought in another $467,000 to support community events, training, and safety precautions. So thank you for that. One of the other big questions is, what about our roads? And so Matt Woodard oversees our public works, and I didn't get a chance to calculate how many miles worth of streets we fixed, but I can tell you 16 streets between US Highway, Palmer, 973 and Lexington, South Lexington, in that box, if you will, about 16 streets got repaired within 1 year, about 1 year's worth of time. So the majority of which is in this downtown area. So we've been given a lot of love down there this way. And so I appreciate that work. Again, indoor and outdoor support for over 17 community events, working to improve our water quality by installing hydrant flushers so that they can be automated, and then continue to work with the Texas Water Utility Association, the Texas Water Board, so that we are staying ahead of our water needs, and we don't get to a space where we have a water crisis. So thank you for that. And so upkeeping on our water wells as well. So thank you, sir, for taking care of the community, the streets, our community events, and the water and our wastewater. Um, Next up is our community development area, and that's Miss Yolandra Santana. And oh, there you are in the back. And so, if you notice, we've been having a lot more events and in our community, and I just want I'm excited about the events that we're doing, but I'm also excited about the number of people that are now attending our events. And so, the new events that we've had was the Easter egg drop, where we had about 2,800 people attend out there on our new property off of 290 East Mariner Development 1. And then we've added movie nights where we host movies in the park. We did about 4 evenings out there. We brought in Hispanic Heritage Celebration. And then we had the Mayor's Ball, which was an opportunity where we celebrated and honored people who have been in the community, taking care of the community for several years, and didn't do it for the recognition, but it was nice to be nice and recognize people. So excellent opportunity, and something we plan on continuing to doing and using that opportunity to fund and support more community endeavors. And then, of course, we have our special events where we had Maynapalooza. This is one of our signature events. We had about 4,000 people there. Juneteenth had about 400 people. 4th of July, 6,000 people. Veterans Day, another 100 people. And then Holiday in the Park, which had about 2,600 people. So we have, I remember when it was just a handful at some of our events, and the residents are appreciative, and they're showing up. And these are the things that we are excited about, because it brings people together from diverse backgrounds and allows us to share space, laugh, enjoy some music and some food, and go home more neighborly and with more love for one another. We also had a back to school event where we supported one of our local barbers with a back to school haircut event. And then we've had, I think, our second 5K event. And so if you're into 5Ks, you don't have to run. If you can walk that long, we have it, I think it's in June coming up. So we have Mainer Community Day, where it's a 5K, but we also have events for all at the park. So you don't have to walk. You can just come there and enjoy the food and the fun. So one of the other things we're proud about is our Youth Advisory Council. Again, when we were doing door-to-door during campaign, people were asking, what are you doing for the youth? And so we launched a Youth Advisory Council where young people from middle school and high school are now commissioners, and they'll lead a group of students, and they'll serve as an advisory to city council. They'll learn leadership skills. They'll get the network. And actually, this past weekend, they were down in Beaumont. They were down in Beaumont, meeting other students that had the same drive and desires as them, to learn about city governments and to learn how they can become a positive and strong voice in our community. So not only are we building programs for you, but we're developing our youth so that they can take over when we're gone, because we won't be here forever. And I'm not trying to do this forever. No. So definitely excited about that. And we got to interview them. And I tell you what, we have some awesome young people that live in our city. And anytime you get a chance to mentor or volunteer in the schools or just meet some of our young people, you'll be impressed with how intelligent they are, the integrity they possess, and their passion for change. So last but not least with that is we've been working to increase communication. It's still a major goal for us. We want everybody to know what's happening. And so we've been able to move our Facebook followers from 4,000 to 10,000 followers, which is a huge positive. We didn't get anything from Facebook on that. I don't know what number you have to have, but we have 10,000 now. And then we also create an Instagram account and have about 1,000 there. And so that's important because we're trying to find out where people are at so that we can make sure the information is getting to them on the platform that they prefer. So what's next? A lot. But I can't tell it all. I cannot tell it all. We have a council meeting, and that starts at 7 o'clock. So we got to pause for the calls a little bit. So, but I will tell you some things that uh, staff shared with me, and some things that I thought were important to share in regards to what's next this year and ongoing. One, top one on the list. Finished the work with CTRMA, TechStot, and Campbell on finishing the feasibility study, but then also securing the funding so that we can get an elevated highway on 290 and 973. I'm really excited about the work and how it's progressing on 973. We've had some really good meetings, and we've actually seen some blueprints of what that road is going to look like. And at some point in time soon, you'll hear about some opportunities this spring where we're going to bring these agencies into the city, and you'll get a chance to give them some feedback on what we're talking about. And so this happened years ago, and people that wanted the roads didn't show up, and the people that didn't want the roads showed up. And that's the main reason why right now why we do not have the highways that are going through. So if you're out there and you've been wanting to see some highway improvement, when we announce those dates, please come and support the diagrams and opportunities that they're going to be sharing at those meetings. A few years back, we talked about a legislative agenda, and we had a lot of conversations about what does it take to be a regional leader in our city? What does it take to build a strong city? And one of those things is that you have to have presence of a lot of different types of entities. You have to have a strong public school system, fire, emergency services. You have to have partnerships and relationships with all those stakeholders, but you also need to have access to higher education, and you also need to have quality healthcare systems. And so we're working towards trying to attract a regional medical facility to this area. If you've ever tried to go to a doctor of primary care or specialty care, you already know you have to drive out maybe minimum 15 miles. My wife just had surgery not too long ago, and we were way off of the toll 45 in Northwest Austin, Round Rock area for that. And it's just not right because everyone does not have transportation. And you know, if you have to get to certain appointments at certain times, you end up missing them, and it's very tough on all of our residents, but especially our seniors. And so having adequate healthcare opportunities here does a few things. One, it allows for the commute to shorten, not only for Manor, but for the unincorporated areas around Manor, also for the city of Elgin, and also for the people that are in Bastrop County that are not close to Bastrop. And so we're actually solving an issue for 2 counties and multiple cities by bringing a regional hospital to the area. The other thing it does is there's a nursing shortage. There's a shortage in the medical field. And so having something this close, and the universities and the community colleges have already looked at who's the target population that we need to try to attract it into this field. And it's Manor. It's everyone around Manor. However, the school opportunities and the training opportunities are too far for our students to get to. So having a regional medical facility here shortens that commute, and then it allows for everyone in this area to be able to work in the hospital, get the training, get the practical experiences, and then transition into a career. Then not to mention it also provides the care that we need in this area. And so what you'll see coming through, we've announced that St. David's Medical will be starting a footprint in the area with an emergency care facility that's under construction right now. We will be working with one of our developers to also bring in and our legal team to talk about what a medical district looks like, and establishing a medical district where we'll say this area right here of land is only for medical complexes, for doctors, or for whatever your care is. And so that designation would then allow for us to attract some of the businesses out this way, because they know they have a specific space for them. And then you'll see more conversations or more information coming from us about the medical complex. So we've had some real good folks that have been interested in Manor as a site, and very assertive, very assertive in responding back and trying to see this project through. So very excited about that one. In addition, we've been talking about increasing public transportation through rideshare initiatives. And so we're definitely excited about bringing those opportunities into the city. We explored some of that about 2 years ago, I think, and so we're excited about bringing that back to the table. We try to be very proactive, and so we know we have water for a while, and now we're looking for water for 2050 and beyond. And so that's a positive to be in a place to where we can look down on from here 25 years and start planning for 25 years out. So again, kudos to Mr. Woodard and Mr. Moore for that leadership in our city engineer firm. We're also looking to not only do affordable and workforce apartment complexes, but we're looking for some developers and investors to do single family affordable homes. We understand that to create generational wealth, you have to be able to own something. And so our hope is that if we can create opportunities where people can buy a home in Manor, it's affordable, it's something that they own, and it's something they can pass down to their kids. And so we're thankful that we've put a small call out, and we've gotten some people that are calling back with interest in that project. We'll continue to work on the regional sewer plant and working to bring in the city of Elgin so that we can make sure we have the utilities for years to come for this area. To bring in the type of employers that want to come to this area, you have to be able to provide the utilities. And so we have some experts on our team, and very grateful for the work you all are doing to continue to move us forward. GBA as well. I don't think anybody's here from GBA. But the work that you all are doing to move us down the path for water and wastewater in the future. One of the things we've been talking about is building on volunteer and community involvement opportunities. And so last year, Ms. Yolanda and council worked together to create several policies and procedures so that we can start inviting nonprofits and community members to work to do events with us in a manner that will be sustainable. If you've lived in another city, there are opportunities where you can go and you can partner with the city to do a lot of great things. Saul Paul's here. I know he's had a lot of great experience with that with the city of Austin, and so we've worked last year to put those opportunities in place so that we can start creating those experiences for residents and for nonprofits in this area. So we're definitely excited to move in phase 2 of that area. I talked about a learning city on March 9th. Right now, I think it's still at the New Tech school. We will be having our first event. I don't think we have a name for it, so we just call it the Manor Learning City event. And what's happening on that day is the jump start to us becoming a learning, what is it? Empower Manor. There we go. That's the name. Empower Manor. So what's happening on that day is an opportunity for, is the jump start for this culture we want to establish in our city where we're lifelong learners, but we have to become neighborly, but we will become neighborly through the process. And so imagine, Chris Harvey is a skilled mechanic, and I have neighbors on my street that do not know how to do some basic car maintenance. In this learning culture we're trying to create, we will have these Empower Manor days. And on these days, Chris Harvey would then offer a free class on some basic car maintenance things. We will work with the school district and other entities to host these spaces. So now I can share my expertise with my neighbors or whomever wants to come. Someone else loves to crochet. They would, maybe someone else wants to learn how to do that. On this workshop day, you would have that opportunity to do that. Public safety. I want to learn how to do self-defense. I want to learn how to do Zumba. Whatever skill set that you have, you will be able on this day to offer it to the community, where we host the space for you. We help with the background checks and all that and those types of things. And consequently from that, we start to become more neighborly. We're learning from each other. We're meeting people we would have not met before. We're uniting and coming together on the commonalities and strengths and skills and hobbies. And because of that, now when I see that person that I helped teach how to change the oil at Walmart or in HEB or wherever I see them, or when I'm driving on 290 and I'm frustrated, I may not yell and hunk at them because, oh, that's so and so. I'm gonna be nice because that's who that is. I recognize them. So, and the idea is that the more we become neighborly, the more we interact, then the nicer we are on the highways, the nicer we are in our interactions. And if we're nice and we're compassionate and we're loving towards one another, then those our students start to grow up in some of that old village type of situation where they don't feel comfortable doing any of the things that they're doing that are wrong because that's so and so, and they know my mom, they know my dad, they know my granny, they know my uncle. And so we start building a culture over time where students only think about success and only think about leadership and only think about positive things. But it takes a village. And so this is the city's effort in creating that learning culture and putting pen to paper and putting action behind our commitment to building community and uniting our city. The other thing we talked about again we're excited about it, and if I stay on this topic, we'll be here forever. And that's just getting these bond projects going. We're excited about what that experience is going to be. We're excited about the things we want to see happen in those facilities. But more importantly, we're excited about the collaboration and connection that's going to happen once these buildings are up and resurrected. People will be able to go and have book clubs, study, whatever, all kinds of things are going to happen from this place. And we're excited about our partners on that 80 acres and the things that they see and the vision that they cast and how we gave them feedback as council and city workers, and they came up with an artistic design that I think is going to be pleasing and very enjoyable to the city of Manor. I'm excited about one more thing that I would like to share. And if you've raised your hand, if you lived in Manor over 30 years, I know you, Miss Ruth, a few of y'all. Some of y'all, or if you've been here and people just kind of told you about Old Manor, there was a space where a place you could go, hang out, have some fun, maybe have some adult beverages, and this place was called Manor Downs. Manor Downs is one of those spots that is like some other spaces in Manor where it's on the edge of our city. And a few years back, the state of Texas was listening to lobbyists in larger metropolitan metro cities, and they said, "Hey, we don't want to be landlocked, and so we like for you to pass a bill that allow us to extend our boundaries out." And when they did that, Manor lost a lot of land to the county and to the ETJ of the city of Austin that is historic and important to us. Manor Downs was one of those areas, and as a result, it was sold, and plans were made to turn into to bring in some warehouses that's going to be jobs and so forth. Um, and we talked about it. We were heartbroken as council, and we was like, maybe we should just call them and ask them if they would be willing to do something with the city and come back into the city. And there's some other things that are positively happening, but I'm very happy to announce that one, the city they came and we're annexing them back into the city of Manor, so that land is back in Manor. And two, yeah, you please. And two, one of the biggest things is they're willing to work with us to figure out something on how we can honor the legacy of Manor Downs and that. So more details to come on that, but we're definitely excited about working with the people that we're working with because they have a commitment to the vision that we've cast for the city, and they're not just the majority of the folks we're working with are here for the people. And they're building something that they are making a profit, but they're here for the people, and that speaks volumes into the partners that we have. Challenges ahead. I'd be remiss if I did not recognize what's going on in our country today. The purpose of local government is not about political parties. It's not. It's about the people. It's frustrating to see on news media outlets, social media, that so many leaders are choosing politics over the people. Brother Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "An individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of humanity, of all humanity." I believe it should be the greatest priority of every individual that he or she or find himself or herself leading a life that stands for justice, walks upright, runs to lend a hand, and jumps at the opportunity to serve. Martin Luther King also said, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at the times of challenge and controversy. Maynard, I want to let you know that in this time of adversity, difficulty, uncertainty, and despair, I stand with you, all of you. Dr. King said our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. We have to be honest about the issues that are plaguing our community. So here goes. When we don't know each other and we are trapped in our beliefs and assumptions about people that we don't know, we will operate in fear and hate. We will stereotype. We will turn a blind eye. We will be a part of the problem for not stepping up to become part of the solution. We will stay in the comfort of ignorance at the expense of what is good and what is right, and even at our own detriment of our own future. The time is now to turn the page on isolation. Safety starts by living safely. Let's combat fear by getting to know our neighbors, step outside, knock on the door, introduce yourself, have a meal together, learn your similarities, appreciate and accept your differences. Our differences is what makes us unique. Our differences, our diversity is our strength. Interesting fact. Former President George Washington said, yes, George Washington, the bosom of America is open to receive not only the opulent, which is rich or lavish, and respected stranger, but the oppressed and persecuted of all nations and religions, whom we shall welcome to participate of all our rights and privileges. Former Judge W. Bush said, confirmed this thought by saying nearly all Americans have ancestors who have braved the oceans, liberty-loving risk takers in search of an idea. Immigration is not just a link to America's past, it is also a bridge to America's future. From 1780 to 2009, from George to George, we are hearing a need to have a love for all mankind, and understanding that the country we love, that our ancestors died for, serves as a refuge for the broken and hope for the needy. What is America if we erase those 240 years of history regarding life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? If these principles are a part of the greatness of our country, abandoning them only demolishes our pillars of hope that serve as levees preventing and holding back destitute, hatred, despair, and disenfranchisement. So what can we do when it seems that all hope is gone? We stand. We find hope in the mighty and powerful God. We confess living in our comfort, and we turn towards love, compassion, grace, peace, kindness, and community. I've reached out to our faith community. I've asked them to start meeting with me regularly to talk about the needs of our community. I'll ask them to engulf us in prayer, encouragement, counseling, and resources that our families may need during this time. I hope that they may serve as a safe place for those seeking answers and advice. Last, I will ask them that they remind people or teach people this. Psalms 27, 1 and 6. The Lord is my light, my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is my stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked advance against me to devour me, it is my enemies and my foes who will stumble and fall. Though an army besiege me, my heart would not fear. Though war break out against me, even then I will be confident. One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord and seek him in his temple. For in the day of trouble, he will keep me safe in his dwelling. He will hide me in the shelter of his sacred tent and set me high upon a rock. Then my head will be exalted above my enemies who surround me. And at his sacred tent, I will sacrifice with shouts of joy. I will sing and make music to the Lord. Let's continue to build Maynard strong. Let's continue to take care of each other. Always working to make the world a better place. Dr. Christopher Harvey, Mayor of City of Maynard. Thank you. right. Good evening, everyone. Time is 7:16 p.m. Announce that a quorum is present and call to order this City Council regular meeting. We beg your forgiveness for a late start, but it's my fault because I went over on the State of City address. But it's all good. Thank you all for being here for that event and for being here tonight. So we'll start off with our invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, then jump into presentations. So if everyone please stand for invocation, then the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, in your word you have given us a vision of that holy city to which the nations of the world bring their glory. Behold and visit, we pray, the cities of the earth, especially the city of Manor and its communities. We thank you that the City Council is meeting to make decisions that seek to provide faithful and effective stewardship of our common life. Send down upon all who hold office in this city the spirit of wisdom, of service, and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people. And in all the people of Manor, renew the ties of mutual regard. Increase our courtesy and expression, and deepen our respect for one another, which strengthens our civic life. Especially in traffic, Lord, help us out. Lord, we live in difficult times when it would be easy to be divided into people who are us and them. May we all remember that you have made of one blood all the peoples of the earth, that each human being is precious, made in your image, and endowed with inalienable dignity, respect, and rights, so that peace may prevail with righteousness and justice with order, and that all your children from different places and cultures with different talents may find with one another the fulfillment of our humanity. This we ask in your most holy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. All right, we have a presentation. $1 Million Dreams presented by Saul Powell, founder, CEO, musician, Saul Powell Productions. Come on up, sir.
Awesome. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Council. I'm excited to be here today. I'm making a presentation on a workforce development initiative that I'm excited to share with the City of Manor. It's a national, multi-state initiative, but Manor has a special place in my heart, so I want to give y'all first dibs. All right. So I am Saul Powell, Grammy-nominated artist, award-winning changemaker, keynote speaker, and success coach. Myself, I transitioned from tragedy to triumph, poverty to prosperity, and I dedicate my life to empowering others to do the same. That led to the creation of $1 Million Dreams. I have a special affinity for the city of Manor. It goes back over a decade, many, many years. I do remember a significant moment when I presented a convocation for the Manor ISD. That was in 2013. Mm-hmm. Since then, when I say we, I refer to my company, Saul Powell Productions. We have served the city of Manor in numerous ways. Currently, we serve with a educator reward program and a rent reward program. This is, we've adopted numerous schools throughout the district, and with this, including Lagos Elementary, Manor New Tech, and Manor High School. With our rent reward program, we empower students, we incentivize students through the administration to come to school, get great attendance, and we actually pay their family's rent. We were told that that was that would be a value add, so we do that. And then also we added an educator reward program where we give unrestricted funds to the administration, and they use that to build rapport and encourage staff in the work that they do. very passionate about that, as I believe educators are unsung heroes. I believe they do the most and get the least shine for it. So those are some ways that we support the city of Manor. And now I'm excited through our $1 Million Dreams program to do the same. I'll tell you the beginning from the end, and I'll tell you about it at the end. If you have any questions, please ask. Ultimately, it's a career awareness, exploration, and pathway program. We share about numerous programs, numerous careers for students. We expose them to numerous careers, and then for some, we actually have a talent pipeline and actually get them gainfully employed. We provide soft skills, connect them to the hard skills, and make them not employees, but more so stellar employees that not just get a job, but keep a job. So $1 Million Dreams, we equip youth and young adults to be the change and dream in 3D through career awareness, exploration, and preparation. Our program provides online skill building, in-person training, success coaches, apprenticeships, employment, and more. Our workforce development program provides a great opportunity for 14 to 18-year-olds, 18 to 24-year-olds, foster youth, previously incarcerated individuals, the unemployed, and the underemployed. We have partnered with numerous organizations, one being the Texas Workforce Commission, or more so we've secured their funding. They help us serve the most vulnerable members of your community through the WIOA grant, the Workforce Initiative and Innovation and Opportunity Act grant. So that's for those that wouldn't be able to access the program at all. And then there are others that can just, turnkey and afford to apply and pay for the program and take advantage of it. But today I'm here to advocate to you on behalf of those that get caught in the middle. Maybe some of those that'll be taking the 1,500 jobs that are coming up, because there will be many first time. We always hear the term first time, like first generation student, right? First generation college student. But the reality is, oftentimes they're first generation employees, especially with the career. And it's like, where would they learn these soft skills? Yes, they can learn a hard skill, but where do they learn the soft skills to not just get the job, but keep the job? So that's what we do with $1 Million Dreams. An amazing $1 Million Dream success story. I would initially, as I was preparing for this, I was like, okay, I could say it's close. But as I was driving in, I realized that it's 0.5 miles from here. There's a gentleman, just say T. Hernandez. He literally grew up in a house that's 0.5 miles from here. I remember coaching him, mentoring him. He had quite the challenging childhood. Mom was absent. Father was absent. Mom struggled with various things. He was an awesome sibling, took care of his little brother. Once he graduated, got his GED actually, he was able to, he tried to work. He got a family, he had kids, he still struggled. But after we gave him some career coaching and built him up, he was able to become gainfully employed, became successful, flourished, became an entrepreneur, and now he employs others. So that's what our program does. We take those because we know that they have potential, and we turn that into actual success. Our program started in Indiana, and then that was via nonprofits. And then we went to California, Northern California, Alameda County, Solano County. That was via government agencies. But then I was invited back here to Texas, and here in Texas, everyone was like, I mean, that's great, Saul Paul, but we're Texas, so hey, we should have this here. We should build this out here. And then I had some encouragement from Commissioner Trevelyan, the Texas Workforce Commission, numerous others and whatnot. And then I realized that we could I try to avoid the word pilot. We could pioneer the program here first in Central Texas before we take it to the other 27 locations. And so even though we're in Austin, and those opportunities are there, again, I wanted to show love and come here to the city of Manor and share this opportunity. So let me show you how it works. So what I appreciate about Manor, as Manor experiences rapid growth and transformation, our program aligns perfectly with the city's goals of fostering sustainable and equitable development by investing in its diverse and dynamic community. Our workforce development initiative is scalable and a sustainable approach to addressing unemployment through skill building, job placement, and entrepreneurship. So we have a cheat code. We are like the one of one that can do this. There are many workforce development programs. You already do amazing things in workforce development. But what I saw that was lacking in workforce development across the country is a culturally responsive solution. Like when we start talking about our students, the students you serve, the students in our community, that's why there was a gap. And then we lose them. And so we came up with a culturally responsive, and this is something I discovered just through my work in general. Being brief, I'm Saul Paul, 3-time Grammy-nominated artist, 3-time TED Talker, musician with the message. I've impacted over 1 million people over the last 2 decades with my tours, my talks, and my messaging, but it's really based off of my understanding from my lived experience. My mom died when I was 3. My dad left before I was born. I was placed in foster care through no fault of my own. I grew up in the ghetto in Houston. I didn't know what a Title I school was till I was an adult. Then I realized, like, oh, I only went to Title I schools because that was just normal to me. But I also had a lot of potential, but I was torn. And so by the time I was 17, I was arrested by the FBI. Interestingly enough, even though I made straight A's in schools, I got more love when I got arrested. So I focused on being the best at the worst. I realized that I could get the most love. To me, that was logical. Now we realize that that was illogical. But without mentorship and guidance, that's where I was going. That's why we focus a lot on mentorship. By the time I was 20, I was convicted of 4 felonies, went to the Texas State Penitentiary. As I sat in prison, I realized life is the sum total of the choices you make. I changed my choices, changed my life, became an anomaly, got into the prestigious University of Texas, and graduated with a 4.0. Okay, y'all missed it. That's where people usually clap. All right. But I don't need you to clap for me, but for those that will see this later, because I can't wait to show this to the students I serve, because I've done a lot. Like I said, 3 TED Talks, spoke at Google, Meta, so many different places, but I've never been invited to present to a city council. So this is going on my bucket list. So I'm excited to be here. So I'll be showing this to them like I show them a TED Talk. So I want them to see that when you succeed, even though everyone thought you would fail, that people celebrate that. But myself, that's what my life has become. My grandmother adopted me. She did the best she could, and even though she raised me in poverty, and we didn't have much, even though she raised me in poverty and we didn't have much, my home was full of love. She died before I even graduated high school, so she never saw me graduate. She never saw me go to UT. She never saw me do any of the accomplishments I've already mentioned. Luckily, she also never saw me go to jail. If she did, she would have died of a broken heart. So I'm her legacy. She's my why. She's why I do what I do. But she chose to be the change in my life. I choose to be the change. I've created many successful coaching programs. $1 Million Dreams is our next, and I'm really excited about this because what I realized is there's a through line. As I've been to Miami, Florida, to Little Rock, Arkansas. It doesn't matter if it was metro or rural. I realized that poverty was the through line. I've been to Tuba City in Arizona. That's a Navajo reservation. And I realized that the situation was the same. It was poverty. And so the way that we fight poverty is through gainful employment. Thus this program. Okay, I do a lot of stuff. I won Austinite of the Year alongside Kendra Scott and Michael Dell. So I'm excited, but I use maybe like them, I use my platform for good, especially for those that can relate to my culture and my lived experience. So that led to this award, the Beacon of Hope Award presented by the House of Representatives. What it says there is, an undeniably talented musician using your personal journey from prison to purpose to provide a message of hope, inspiration, and empowerment to transform lives. And that's ultimately what we're doing with $1 Million Dreams, except instead of only reacting to those that have already made the mistakes, we definitely serve those as well, as we focus on young adults, 18 to 24, 24 to 30 if need be. That was just me not making a joke about coughing, but we ain't got to worry about COVID no more. All right. And so, yes, I've done cool things like, the Grammy nominations as an artist, as a producer, but I think this is the most amazing award. a $4.9 million grant from the National Science Foundation. I'm part of the cohort that's led by Dr. Shatay Ashford Hansford at Texas State University. It was participating in this cohort and this community that allowed $1 Million Dreams to be manifested and then to build out a team. I'm Saul Paul. I lead Saul Paul Productions. I created the curriculum. I do a lot, but the reality is there's an entire team behind me. We have Dr. Bianca Neal, director of our success coaches. We have Michelle Goodwine, workforce development and job placement. We have some amazing success coaches, male, female, black, brown, and the other, culturally relevant, that really understand, that have succeeded professionally and can help provide that guidance so that others can do the same. We have Sugar Ray Destin, our director of programs and course facilitator, as well as Jonathan Mayberry, an amazing individual that helps us create our online curriculum and all of our content. And then we have the amazing Matt Curtis, who has been a champion and played a part in getting us connected to numerous cities and whatnot. So the way we succeed is partnership. So we always look at it like whenever we go somewhere, we have local government and municipalities, we have educational institutions and training centers, school districts, and then we have private sector employers and industry associations. So in regard to Manor, like we've already connected with Texas State University, that's the grant that I mentioned earlier. Austin Community College, great supporter. We're connected with Manor ISD, as I've mentioned. We have our private sector employers and industry associations. For example, Texas Builders Association, Austin Energy, Meta, UFCU, Ascension Seaton, Joe Bland Construction. I ran out of space on the slide, so I stopped it there, but we have more. It's really about our employer network. The only question is, how can we connect and work with you, the city of Manor, so that we can advocate and skill up. So we can advocate and skill up the students that you serve. I say students, but really I mean citizens. I just work with young people so much. See, this is ultimately a beneficial program that transforms underemployed job seekers into gainfully employed individuals. We secure employment for our participants with our Superstar Employment Network. That would also be the big difference, not just training people, but actually getting them jobs. So that's why, like with Ascension Seaton, it's like, okay, so if we train these soft skills, can we connect them to your apprenticeship so that they can, when you reserve a spot, so that we can get them gainfully employed in health. Same with Joe Bland Construction, Austin Energy. As you know, key areas, high demand jobs in this community include health, construction, creative, IT. And so we build out our employer network, and we're excited to create that talent pool. I'm Saul Paul. That's the overview that I wanted to share. I can't wait to see what questions you may have, especially about the programming. But ultimately, what it connects to bring it back, is the most vulnerable. We have grants for through Texas Workforce Commission. And then there are the others that can just see the value and join our program, pay their way. But my concern is, what about those in the middle? And I want to see how the city of Manor can come alongside and we can sponsor, support, maybe in our first cohort, 25, 50 students, 18 to 24-year-olds, young adults, and skill them up, prepare them, get them the soft skills, connect them to hard skills, and create that talent pipeline and get them employed.
Thank you, sir. Counselor, any questions? Taking it all in.
What would the cost of one student be?
Great question. Our program, that's a great question. Our program in totality is $10,000 for a student. With the most vulnerable, it's for the student, it's actually free all the time, right? So our most vulnerable, that is totally covered. For the ones that I keep mentioning that are in the middle, like the cost to Manor, that's not covered, because we have Travis County, who is sponsored. We have Texas Workforce Commission, who have some funds, and they sponsored it. So for them, it's not $4,000, $6,000 of that is covered already, which leaves $4,000 for like a Manor citizen.
What's the percentage of your success rate with individuals going through the program and gaining his employment?
That's a great question. I want to be, I won't say 100%, though that's what it is, but we haven't engaged it to be able to say that, to use that data. But every student that we've brought into our program and coached up has succeeded. Until this point, the goals were a little bit different. Like now, we are gauging success by job placement. But every other student that's participating in our program has a 100% success rate. And the way that works is we have this 8 to 12 week program. Students go in the program, and then we support them for up to a year. Usually it's 9 to 10 months. And so we go alongside them. And so those students we've seen, like, well, they got a job. Okay, well, but then they needed coaching still, and so we built that out.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Where would these classes be held?
Great question. We have more than a few partners here in the city, including Manor High School, the African American Youth Harvest Foundation, and some others that I can't speak on because the MOUs aren't signed yet, but there are a couple locations where we'll be around the city and be able to host.
How long are your classes?
8 to 12 weeks. Like the initial program is 8 to 12 weeks, and then it's 9 to 10 months of continued coaching and support.
One of the issues here would be possibly transportation, getting them to and from. What does your classes look like? Like what days, what times, things like that?
Well, one of the things that we do, why I say we have a 100% success rate, but it's more about the wraparound services. We don't just we qualify our students to make sure that they have buy-in, and when they come in, and that they're committed. And once we know they're committed, which happens before they start, at that point we commit to them. So we have wraparound services, provide transportation, meal, stipends for childcare, and various other whatever is necessary to help them succeed.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right. Well, thank you for the presentation. I'm sure somebody will be connecting with you.
All right, thank you much.
Thank you. All right. Public comments, non-agenda item public comments on a white card. Comments will be taken from the audience for a length of time not to exceed 3 minutes per person. And we have public comments. We'll start with Ms. Faye Carter.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Thank y'all for your service and everything. Thank you. Congratulations, Dr. Harvey, for your reelection. I didn't see any Black History stuff outside, any decorations or anything. So I'm just here to encourage us. We've said the Pledge of Allegiance. I marched under Dr. King in '61 and helped to integrate University of Texas and also Austin, Texas. So I just always want to encourage us to be one nation under God and celebrate his dream. He gave his life and he's dead, but I'm still here. So I'm sorry I made it too. I didn't know that I couldn't just put this picture up on the screen. She said, no, it has to be digital. So I just took it off the wall at home. And this is my little mentor. And she was only 6 years old. And she integrated the schools at Louisiana. And so I just know all of us can do something to make our country a great country that Dr. King had the dream for. So, I'm sure she went to school and just 6 years old. Like Queen Esther, born for such a time as this. I don't hear of anything else that she actually did, but this was what she did. Can you imagine parents sending you to school, at 6 years old? And she looks so confident. She's not crying. She looks like she knows what she is here to do. And so I just want to encourage us in this. I mean, I don't think she could eat in the cafeteria. I don't think she had little friends, but she just went and did what she needed to do. So I just want to encourage our country to experience the dream that Dr. King wanted us to. Little black boys and girls, little white boys and girls, being together and making this country the leader of the free world that we need. So that's why I'm here about the Black History Month. Everybody can do something, if it's just a smile or a prayer or being nice to your neighbor. My neighbor and I hadn't spoke for 10 years, but I always prayed about it. So he spoke to me today. So things do change. So I just wanted to encourage everybody. Thank y'all for what you do. And I just want to wish everybody a happy Black History Month, and God bless America.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you again. Next we'll have Ms. Ruth Biscoe. Oh, she had to leave? Okay, all right. I know one of the things she wanted to mention, which was I think there's a change in the Black History Program date. Last time she told us the 28th, and I think they're looking towards February the 22nd. So I know that was one thing we talked about in the break. So be on the lookout for a change of for that information at some point, council members. All right. Public hearings. Number 1, conduct a public hearing on rezoning application for one lot on 4.879 acres more or less and being located at 16023 US East US Highway 290 Manor, Texas, from GO General Office to C2 Manor, medium commercial. Mr. Burrell. Hey, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Michael Burrell, Interim Development Services Director for the City of Manor. This zoning request is Far Easton Manor. It was originally for C3 heavy commercial, but after review and consideration by the Planning and Zoning Commission, they try to say view and feel at the same time, my apologies. They view this lot as more appropriately zoned for C2 as it aligns more with our future land use map and the commercial corridor that it is intended to be along 290.
Were there any additional restrictions that they wanted?
Yes, they wanted to restrict gas station full service, gas station, the lesser variation of it, pardon me for forgetting the actual title, and mini storage warehouse were all prohibited uses.
Thank you, sir. Questions, comments, council members?
Any questions or concerns from the neighbors in that area?
No concerns, just people asking about what the general intended use was, but that was it.
Okay, Ms. Henderson, do you want to speak this time?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Jen Henderson, owner of Henderson Professional Engineers. We're the applicant on this one. I appreciate staff's talking with us on this one. The one thing that we did not get in planning and zoning that's very important to this owner is the warehouse use. That's the only difference between C2 and C3 that this owner would really like to be able to do here. It's important to know that this is between, I believe it's a storage unit, kind of light industrial area. And so that's really the ultimate goal, is to have kind of an office in the front and a warehouse in the back so that it's more of an industrial type use. So I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have. Anything you need.
Questions, council members?
What would you said they need the warehouse space. What would they need? What would be the purpose?
Yeah, so think of it more of like a holding place to move products from one place to another. So you would like, if you had a like a pipe storage or like a meter storage or like a popcorn storage, something like that, they want to be able to have a small office in the front and just store items in the back. Different tenant spaces. The tenants are not known right now. We're just looking at a big building, a shell building for the tenants to then rent the spaces.
Other questions?
Why is it called Salt and Pepper Manor?
Oh, that's a great question. Our owner is a little salt and peppery hairdo, and so we found it a little funny. That's really the only reason.
It says women own. How many own it? How many owners are there?
I'm 100% owner of HPE. I'm very proud of that, let me tell you.
Your zip code is Elgin.
Well, this is in a really funny place. It's actually in Manor, but when you put that into Google, sometimes it comes up as Elgin, but it is Manor.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Other questions?
Does this rezoning, and I think this question be for Burrell, align with our comprehensive plan?
So the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended zoning would, as this would be a commercial corridor intended to have sales tax revenue that would be beneficial to the city, with the C3 zoning designation, which would allow for warehouse or office warehouse. That doesn't occur, as it's warehouse. There's not much sales tax revenue to occur there, especially if it's primarily for holding and transportation.
Other questions?
Will there be big trucks coming into that facility if it's a holding facility? Like 18-wheelers?
Most likely is.
There's enough room and turnaround room.
That I cannot determine at this point in time. There would have to be a site plan, a traffic impact analysis would have to be conducted, but there most likely would be larger commercial vehicles, 18-wheelers, things of that nature, bringing in and transporting product out of the warehouse.
Okay, thank you.
So in essence, Sparrow, what I hear you saying is planning and zoning looked at the future use map, land use map, and saw that this was this area was projected for C2, and that was the reason why they zoned out of or recommended out of not C3.
Yes, sir. Based on the future land use map, with that being intended as a commercial corridor, the C2 zoning designation is more in line in terms of allowable uses, as opposed to C3 being one of our most, or actually our most permissible zoning category that allows for a lot of industrial use as well.
And so they're asking for restrictions on gasoline, all gasoline stations, and a mini storage warehouse. And Ms. Henderson, you are asking for mini storage warehouse, or you're not? What is I guess this is for actually both of you all then. What definition in C3 item are you making a request for? And I guess is what you're asking for connected to the mini storage warehouse, and why or why not from the coding? So
I think you asked two questions there. The gasoline, this owner does not. If you
Has
want to
no impact.
remove that, that is fine.
Mhm.
There are some other uses you can totally take out of there. It's really that warehouse, that office warehouse that he's looking for. Now, I'm not 100% sure on the definition of the storage you're talking about. I'd have to lean on Michael for that.
So in essence, this isn't the same thing as a mini storage warehouse. Mini storage warehouse is like the U-Haul storage or Storage King, things like that. But for office warehouse, it's essentially storage for industrial materials, if I'm understanding the intended
Right.
use there. So think pipe, rebar, just construction materials or things of that nature, which would require the C3 zoning because that is more of an industrial use than a commercial, but C3 does allow for it.
This question is for Jones, actually. That area, what are we seeing already coming into that area?
While he's looking, I can tell you there is an existing storage unit out there, and I believe so, yes. I want to say yes, but there is a lot next to it that was recently zoned for C3. That's Blue Bonnet Construction.
I don't know of anything right now that's being planned out here. We have some apartments that have been talking about, Valley talking about developing some apartments, but they're further to the west.
Thank you.
So is there no other neighborhoods and anything near there? Because I'm thinking when you're there, there's going to be more like heavy duty, maybe trucks and that kind of stuff coming through there. How's that going to affect neighborhoods? Just transitioning from their spots to 290.
So what I do know, well, what I've been informed of, because I've actually been in conversation with Krantz and a few other of the property owners / developers, there's an RV park a little farther out, just outside of our city limits. Is going to have like 500 RVs or so. So there's that neighborhood right there. We have another property out on Volker Lane. They're trying to develop to bring in roughly 500 multifamily units, and then I think another 200 or so two-family units. So residential is trying to be in this area.
So you see my point with them being there and then other large vehicles and equipment trucks coming through there. I'm worried about the impact to the people that will be there or coming there or that they're now.
Other questions, comments?
From Councilwoman Weir's comment, are any of those people, since they're already, I guess, projected to already be there, even though they're not within our city, do they get reached out to see like what is their thoughts about their future? Do we get their opinion
Everyone
in
within
public hearing?
everyone within 300 feet of the property boundary gets notified.
And they're not within 300 feet, right?
No, ma'am.
So
Now,
out of
I can't speak to that point. There are residential properties to the south of it,
right.
and those people get notified. Across the street gets notified. It's just whatever's within that 300 feet range.
And those are the ones that were on the list, right? That we already have other people that were contacted. We have those people. And those were the ones that didn't reply or have anything to say. I guess I was just thinking out of I don't know how to say it without saying good customer service or like due diligence or something like that. Just kind of working in favor, working neighborly with our with people who are next to us. Is it too much of an inconvenience to like make sure that it's something that can work together, be cohesive in that space, knowing that it would be a C2 space in the future? Is that sure?
I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I can tell you for sure that our owner has talked to every single neighbor around him to make sure that our concept plan was something that they would be appreciative of. And no one had any issues with it. They actually liked it. This is on Highway 281, and so we just want to make sure that, like, we're not trying to add a whole bunch of truck traffic into the neighborhood. We want to keep it by the highway, by the existing highway. That way you can bring the truck in, let it leave, and then we can have smaller vehicles come in after that.
Other comments or questions in this public hearing? Is there a motion about the public hearing?
Mayor, council, I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing on item number 1.
Well, a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Councilwoman Messmer. Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 5-1. All right. Next public hearing, conduct a public hearing on voluntary annexation of 146.92 acres more or less being located in Travis County and adjacent to contiguous to the city limits. Yes, sir.
Mayor, Council, Michael Burrell, Interim Development Services Director for the City of Manor. This is the Manor Downs property. The first public hearing officially initiating the annexation process. Last meeting was accepting their petition and creating a resolution setting the schedule for their annexation. This is the first hearing of that annexation process.
All right. Any questions? There's none, then we'll entertain a motion on the
Mayor,
public
council,
hearing.
I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing on item number 2.
Motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Councilwoman Messmer. Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Moving right along to the consent agenda. All the items on consent agenda considered to be self-explanatory by council, and we would act in one motion. There will be no separate discussion on items requested unless requested by the mayor or council member, in which item will be removed from consent agenda and considered separately. Number 3, consideration, discussion, possible action on to approve the city council minutes, January 15, 2025 city council regular meeting. Consideration. Number 4, consideration, discussion, possible action, approve an engagement letter agreement for a trustee for the Mustang Valley Public Improvement District PID. Number 5, consideration, discussion, and possible action on the confirmation, ratification, and approval of the First Amendment to the letter of intent and for the purchase approximately of 8.34 acres of land out of an 84.30 acre tract of land situated in the AC Caldwell Survey, Abstract 154 in Travis County. Any questions to the consent agenda or a motion?
Mayor, council, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as read.
Well, a motion on the floor by Councilman Wallace to approve consent agenda, and is there a second?
A second.
Second by Councilwoman Messmer. Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Regular agenda. First reading, consideration, discussion on possible action on ordinance rezoning for one lot on 4.879 acres more or less and been located at 16023 East US Highway 290, Manor, Texas, from GO General Office to C2 Medium Commercial. Council, this is the public hearing item we just heard. Any additional questions, comments, or thoughts?
If we make the motion, do we have to put in the allowance of the storage, the warehouse facility?
Mayor, council members, Veronica Rivera, Assistant City Attorney. I looked at this item and the way that it is scheduled for first reading, it only allows you to do anything at the C2 zoning level and nothing above it. So this item would need to be brought back if city council would like to do C3, which was the original request. And if it's C3, then I will need to come back to y'all and confirm that supermajority would be needed since Planning and Zoning Commission recommended C2.
Thank you for that information. Any questions for legal or Ms. Burrell? Did you need a follow-up question, Councilwoman Wallace?
I think I have a follow-up question.
Go ahead.
Can it be a C2 with added uses?
Yes, you could have C2 and anything that is in the ordinance right now, you could remove without requiring a supermajority. For example, you could remove gasoline station limited, gasoline station full service, or mini storage warehouse. If you're asking if you could add the general office warehouse, that's in C3. It's not permitted in C2, so you're actually going above. And so you can always restrict, you just can't go up unless that's what it started off with.
So it sounds like the options on the table, Council, are to approve the recommendation proposed by C2 by Council, Planning and Zoning, with the C2 designation and the exemptions from there, or to not approve it, and then maybe convene a small team of 2 or 3 to work with Mr. Burrell and find out more, and then come back to council with a recommendation or hearing or whatever we need to do from there.
I like that one.
So those are the 2 options. It sounds, if there's a desire to do something different that way, you can have more conversation with Mr. Burrell and maybe even someone from P&Z. 2 options.
Follow-up question. Because the request was to have a warehouse, being C3, does it matter the size of the warehouse? Because it is, if it was a C3, then they can just kind of have, there's no restriction on that as long as it's just, as it meets the code.
There are building setback requirements as well as impervious cover limits, but regarding a specific number on square footage, I couldn't tell you that off the top of my head.
No, that's okay. I think it was just making sure that, I mean, with nothing being over a certain amount before it goes into industrial, then C3 would cover warehouse needs according to what the landowner would want, right?
Yes, C3 allows for office warehouse space.
All right. Other questions? All right. Well, you have options on the table. I entertain a motion. Oh, so let me clarify. The path forward for a different option than what's on, as legal is communicated in regards to the staff option, if you want to entertain more conversation, then your motion is to disapprove. If you're fine with the or not approve the recommendation as read. If you want to approve this, then you go with what's printed.
If I may ask, would it be disapprove or postpone to the next meeting? Disapprove?
It's disapproved because the language is going to still be there. That's the restricting. We're good? No, you don't. It depends on what. If you're approving, yes. If you're disapproving, then you don't.
Okay, Mayor Council, I make a motion to disapprove. What's this, item number 6?
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Weir. Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. All right. So I'll, if you're interested, no more than 3, I'll reach out to Ms. Burrell, city manager, and I'm assuming at some point there I'll also reach out to you, Ms. Henderson, and then we'll go from there. Thank you. All right, moving along to agenda item number 7, first reading, consideration, discussion, possible action on ordinance, City of Maine, Texas, annexing 146.92 acres more or less, being located in Travis County, Texas, and into corporate limits of the city at the request of the property owner, approving an agreement for the provision of services for the annexed area, making finding of fact, providing a severability clause and effective date, and providing for an open meetings and other related matters. Yes, sir. Well, actually, we know what this is. Any questions, council members? Okay, we'll entertain a motion.
It's my question.
Okay, go ahead.
Is it one of those properties where you annex and it's like as is? So the state of the property that is coming in, because I guess once it's annexed to us, then we have a certain obligation to uphold and to make it meet our standards. And so do we have to accept it as is?
So with this voluntary, pardon me.
No, go ahead.
Mayor, with this voluntary annexation, the developer is actually here in the audience, so he can answer questions, but it is intended to be developed after annexation in terms of infrastructure, wastewater being extended, actually developing the land, paving it, adding roadways, things of that nature. So it's not being annexed and then left as is, it's being annexed and then developed.
Yeah. Good? All right.
If Tim is comfortable, Mr. Crafson, he
You got
can
any-
answer
I mean, if
questions
you
you
have
have.
any questions, ask. Is there a more specific thing you're wondering? This is, I would say, there's a lot of like our city staff and them been working, for a while on the negotiation and this particular arrangement. So, so it's not just like what I think you're wondering, like it's going to be something that is just going to be sitting there for a while. So there's kind of a plan in place in regards to that. But go ahead. What's your specific?
Well, I figured there was definitely a movement for it, but I guess it was the cost of cleanup and in order so that you guys can continue to develop it the way that it needs to be developed. Does the cleanup cost to get everything together, is that on our burden more than just to meet our standards? I'm sorry, because after that it's our code that we have to.
Sure. Mayor, council members, Veronica Rivera, Assistant City Attorney. I believe what you're asking, and if there was already something on the property, it is as is. If there was, say, for example, a business there already, some kind of warehouse or any type of grading that had been started, you are correct. It would be as is. But in terms of any cleanup that needs to be done right now, it is a voluntary annexation. They are coming into the city limits, and so they would be regulated by city ordinances, except for any variances or any requests that they make through a development agreement, and that is what's being negotiated right now as a development agreement to see which standards will or will not apply. But in terms of any costs associated with any cleanup work at this time, the city does not pay the brunt. Any cost that the city would have is based also on the post-annexation agreement that all annexations enter into, and that's really what the city is tying itself into, providing police service, providing services if you are the CCN holders for water or wastewater, and those are also something that is being discussed at this time on providing those services. But if you look in your backup where the post annexation services agreement, that's what took over instead of the plan. There used to be an Exhibit B called a services plan, but now it's a services agreement. So those are the costs associated for any annexation.
All right. Other questions? Okay, I entertain a motion.
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Manor, Texas, annexing 146.920 acres, more or less being located in Travis County, Texas, into the corporate limits of the city at the request of the property owner, approving an agreement for the provisions of services for the annexed area, making findings of fact, providing a severability clause and an effective date, and providing for an open meetings and other related matters.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilmember Moreno. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Wallace. Any questions to the motion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to number 8. Consideration, discussion, possible action on a license agreement with Lagos Lakeside Subdivision for 0.193 acres of right-of-way.
Mayor Council, Michael Burrell, Interim Development Services Director for the City of Manor. This is essentially a license agreement that allows the Lagos subdivision to utilize and maintain a portion of right-of-way to access the lake and trail that's a part of the Lagos subdivision.
Any questions, council members?
So they will be maintaining that right of way, correct? Okay.
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the license agreement with the Lagos Lakeside subdivision for 0.193 acres of right-of-way.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Mesquite. Any questions to the motion? Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. All right, moving on to item number 9, consideration and discussion of possible action on a resolution initiating annexation of 0.5601 of 1 acre of land, more or less, being located in Travis County, Texas, and adjacent and contiguous to the city limits, and providing for open meeting and other related matters. Yes, sir.
So this is a bit of a package deal, if you will. This annexation directly affects the next one on the agenda. We were able to procure a 30-foot wide strip from the Zalarum property next to Lone Star Electric, that property, in order to make the adjacent property to the south, which is Wanik, contiguous with the city limits. It appears on the agenda in this order because we need to complete the Zalarum annexation before the Wanik annexation. So,
yes, sir. Is there a question to the motion? Question on the agenda item? Now we entertain the motion.
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution number 2025-04, initiating the annexation of 0.5601 of 1 acre of land, more or less being located in Travis County, Texas, and adjacent and contiguous to the city limits, and providing for an open meeting and other related matters.
Well, a motion on the floor by Councilmember Moreno. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Mesquite. Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. All right. Item number 10, consideration, discussion, possible action on a resolution accepting petition for voluntary annexation of 23.809 acres more or less being located in Travis County, Texas, and adjacent contiguous to the city limits, providing for an open meeting and other related matters. Okay, this is that wanted product property.
Yes, sir.
And any questions, council members? I think everybody's aware about that path. The path forward we started a few months back.
Mayor, Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution number 2025-05, accepting the petition for voluntary annexation of 23.809 acres more or less being located in Travis County, Texas, and adjacent and contiguous to the city limits, providing for an open meeting and other related matters.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Councilwoman Mesmer. Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Number 11, consideration, discussion, and possible action on a Chapter 3A agreement, 101 West Boyd Street mixed-use development. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. This request is made by city staff on behalf of Bill Block, and you'll see in your package that they have requested an amendment of the 380 agreement. It's basically an extension of the deadline to receive a certificate of occupancy on the project, pushing it back 1 year to December 31st, 2027. And this project has met some unexpected delays in the permitting process, requiring obtaining the essential permits. I have emails. Sarah Kim's here from Bill Block if you want to talk to her, and she flew in from California for this also. But the demolition permit and building permits had been delayed some. They had some changes in city codes and increased review requirements they weren't expecting. So some of this stuff's been slow to get off the ground, and as we can see, nothing's been happening across the street yet. But as with the other building on Lexington, they'd had some delays in the processes, and things don't always go as planned. So they're expecting to probably also have some delays in the construction process. So we have hard dates on these 380 agreements, and if they're not built and the COs are not completed by a certain date, then everything's off. The penalties go into effect, and the clawbacks go into effect, and it gets nasty from there. So they're just asking for this additional time so that we don't have to come back and do what we did with Mr. Davis's project and go give an additional 6-month extension or something at that time. So we're precluding that and having to go back. So they're asking for an amendment on this one. This one's asking for a 1 year, and the next item is going to be a 1 year on that agreement also. But this is for the 101 West Boyd Street, and it's an amendment to December 31st, 2027. If y'all have any questions.
So we're just asking for amendment due to the unforeseen circumstances.
I'm sorry?
We're asking for an amendment due to the unforeseen circumstances and challenges.
Yeah.
To extend the time. Questions, council members?
So if there are some more unforeseen things that happen and they come for, I mean, how many times can we push it back?
Anytime you want. As much as you want to. We don't anticipate further delays, but you never can tell with construction. Mr. Davis's building, we didn't anticipate they were going to have delays getting steel. We didn't anticipate a lot of things, TxDOT delays, all that kind of stuff. Things can happen during the construction process. I think this has given them enough time. The 12 months has given them enough time that we could probably have, several delays and not have an issue. This is going to give them enough breathing room that they won't hopefully have to come back and ask for any other extensions. So this should give them enough time.
Or hopefully they're not met with any tariffs or anything else that our current situation is experiencing.
Good evening, esteemed
evening.
council. This is Sarah Kim speaking on behalf of Bill Block. So for agendas 11 and 12, back on October 16th, we executed a development agreement and a 380 agreement for 101 and 104 and 107 Boyd Street. And based on those agreements, the agreed construction completion date for 101 was 2026, and for 107 it was 2027. But we're requesting a 1-year extension for both lots, and this is mainly due to 3 unforeseen circumstances. The first is there were multiple agenda items that had to be passed and approved through the City Council and the P&Z Committee, and because originally these agreements were written based on the assumption that all these items will be passed on one single date through one development agreement, but we had to separate those items into detention waiver through another city council meeting, a tree removal for another P&Z committee meeting, and that kind of delayed the approval for our construction. And the second reason was that we there were lots of reviews and comments for our site plan, and this back when we first drafted this agreement, we were expecting the site plan to be passed as soon as the development agreement passed, but which didn't happen, and we're still getting reviews and comments for the site plan. And the last reason is, as Mr. Jones has mentioned, the reference for the the Lexington project, because according to their 3-year 80 agreement, they were supposed to complete construction in 2 years, but we have seen that an example that construction completion in 2 years could be very difficult and insufficient, and we did not want to maybe go back and forth in the future, just like they did. And which is why we respectfully request this extension for 1 year.
Thank you for explaining. Other questions, council members?
But the good news is they are going to build.
Other questions?
Question, statement, thought. So it sounds like it's our fault that we that the delay is there, and so is there a more loosely created timeline that can be adjusted to see? Because I guess where 12 additional months is generous, but if it's really not, from what Councilman Maria was saying, with other that didn't include the unforeseen circumstances of just regular natural things. It was because of people like us up here.
It didn't seem like unforeseeable circumstances to me. It seemed like government and building codes, normal things that everybody else goes through. When you said unforeseeable circumstances, I had a whole different picture in my head. Those just seem like the normal things that go on when you're constructing and building, and they happened. And government and everything else. I had a different picture of unforeseeable circumstances. Sorry.
Well, I think in her explanation, what she's saying is, and typically when a project comes together, and I don't know if you all remember when it first came to us, and we was talking about the 3 lots. We approved 2 lots of the project, and we didn't do 1 lot. That came for us. 3 came before us, and we only did 2, and we didn't do the 3rd, and so that set the whole thing off of the timeline from there. So that is that's not standard, where we basically say, imagine a building, and we say you can build this building except for the middle part of the building. You're just going to have to leave those walls open and then leave that space, from there. That's in essence, it's not what we did, but it's kind of what we did when we didn't approve the entire project. And so we kicked off the schedule, and then the delay. We gave an extension to another business owner, and that extension then pushed back this same project. So it's literally actions that are not necessarily the normal bureaucratic process. It was just something that we did, I think, because we had questions about one lot, and maybe looked at because they came to us in 3 different agenda items. So we looked at it as 3 different projects instead of the context of this is 3 items, but it makes the whole of one project. And so I think that's what she's meaning. She's saying, we have to do it in a certain order or sequence. So we looked at it as 3 separate things because they came separately, and then we put a hole in the middle of the project, which created a whole nother. I'm trying not to say timeline like Marvel movies, but it created another timeline, for the project to come back through. So what she's humbly and gracefully doing is say, hey, can y'all fix what y'all started? And I believe what Jones is saying is we should fix what we started in that situation. Yes, sir, Mr. Burrell.
Mayor Council, Michael Burrell, Interim Development Services Director for the City of Manor. If I can provide some context to some of the development challenges regarding permitting, as we're all aware, a big issue we have downtown is with drainage and where our stormwater flows. One of the challenges that the Build Block site faced, unbeknownst to them and also unbeknownst to us until we looked at everything and got complaints from some of our citizens regarding the water flowing off their neighbor's property into their backyard, is there is a large drainage issue in the area. There was a drainage waiver that was approved. Some of the calculations were not, I don't want to say accurately calculated, but circumstances changed and it caused a lot of extra runoff from that property to the neighbor's property. Mm-hmm. They're also facing challenges where they're trying to figure out where to put their stormwater because of the shape and size of the lots. On-site detention isn't really possible, so they're trying to work through their drainage challenges while waiting for the neighbor to figure out their drainage challenges, and that's putting a big halt in their permitting. Not really a fault of their own, but something they're working through consistently. Additionally, we don't really have an updated drainage study, so while they're trying to figure out their drainage, they're also trying to basically survey what we currently have versus a study we have from like 1980, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not very up to date or accurate, and they're essentially surveying our drainage to service their property so they can accurately convey drainage based off what we have, not what is currently shown in old records. So that's to provide some context on the permitting side.
That's an unforeseeable circumstance. That's what you should have led with if you wanted to.
Not really their fault.
Yeah, there are some building challenges. It's a mixed-use building, different type of product in downtown that we haven't seen before. But on top of that, figuring out how to go through that review process, there are things that they can't necessarily control that they are actively working on and trying to do correctly while working with the city.
Thank you, Superman.
Other questions?
And they've been very patient through the process too. And I know if there were a few P&Z meetings that they showed up and there wasn't a quorum and they had to fly back to California. So that was, it was they were good sports about it too. So
random question. Can that lot be cleaned up while we wait?
I think that audit's for you.
What do you think? It's a little unsightly over there.
Yeah.
They do have a demolition permit. There's some asbestos in one of the houses, so they're working through clearing that out before they knock all those homes down, and then there's a bigger problem. So things that are being worked on.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Either more questions or a motion?
Mayor, Council, I'd like to make a motion that the First Amendment of the 380 agreement to the Chapter 380 agreement at 101 West Boyce Street mixed use development be approved.
Yes, ma'am. We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Weir. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilman Moreno. Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 5-1. Consideration, discussion, and possible action on amendment to Chapter 380 Agreement 107 West Boyd Street Mixed Use Development. This is just part 2 of number 11. Does anyone have any additional questions? If not, we'll take a motion.
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the First Amendment to the 380 agreement at 107 West Boyd Street Mixed Use Development.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Ware. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilman Moreno. Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Oh, there's a question? Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
I just didn't see it fast enough, but
All right, go ahead.
I noticed from the original to the one that from the previous one, but on this one I was wondering if there was also the additional updates to the property on this one. Like the other one had updates, a financial update to the property. So I was wondering if this one did. I didn't see it, so I wasn't sure. I was trying to find the money. I was just trying to find that part. That's all.
The other one had what?
You want to point them to the section that you're.
The investment amount, well, the capital investment will remain the same. It will be 3.5 million and capital improvements, of a total of 3.7 million in capital improvements for 101 and 4.7 million for 107. Yeah.
Is that what you were looking for?
I think so.
Okay.
The other one had like a $200,000 difference from the original to the second, so I was wondering if that was included in this one. But it seems like the number is still the same.
Yes, the numbers are still the same. 3.5 million in improvements and 200K in FF&E. So, yeah.
Any other questions? Want to make sure I don't miss nobody. Okay, we had a motion and a second, and now no other questions. All right. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 5-1. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council.
All right, moving right along to item number 13. Consideration, discussion, and possible action on a development agreement establishing development standards for the shops at Glassdale. Yes, sir.
Mayor Council, Michael Burrell, Interim Development Services Director for the City of Manor. I don't know if I'm allowed to say who this is for or not. Scott, anybody? No? I'm not allowed to say who this is for, right? There's a reason it says the shops at Grassdale. Oh, well. This is for the lot in front of the Grassdale.
We're going on with yours. We're going to wait on the 380.
Yeah, this is a development agreement essentially changing some of the site development standards, now requiring curb stops, increased parking, general concessions to make the person going on this lot a bit more amicable or amenable. That's the correct word. Just to make them happy so that they're more likely to come to this lot. This is going before the 380, which will be the financial incentives, but the requests that they had in the DA were not very intense, just primarily parking things, less landscaping.
Okay. Questions, council members? And this is it didn't have the this is a staff recommendation, so y'all are definitely supportive of it.
Yes.
Okay. Questions? If there's no questions, is there a motion?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me a little bit more. Speak to the parking that's going to be affected with this area.
They want increased parking for the amount of customers they envision visiting the establishment. So typically you have a parking ratio. Well, this is a restaurant, so it's 1 to 250 square feet or for every 3 seats, whichever is greater, and you're allowed a maximum of up to 150% of
Right.
what your standard would be.
Okay.
They want a higher percentage than that to accommodate more customers at their establishment.
Okay. That's the clarity I needed. Thank you.
Kind of adding on to Councilwoman Weir, is there, I guess, is there data to like back this up to where this is actually needed and then needed for this area for that expansion?
We have a representative of the developer here.
Come on up.
It's one of those great times I can lean on them.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Daniel Stewart. I'm with DEC. I'm the civil engineer on the project. To answer your question, yes, this is a national brand. They do have other locations in this area as well as all over the state and country. And so they have a minimum parking number that they like to see at all their restaurants. That's backed up just by historical data of what they see demand being. They actually started with a number higher than what we were at. We worked together with staff to try to bring that down a little bit to where something that we could get a compromise between what they really wanted and what the city regulations were. And we arrived at this number, which I think works for everybody. But yeah, that's definitely based on their experience in the market. Thanks.
Other questions? Thank you for being here.
Mayor, Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the development agreement establishing development standards for the shops at Grassdale Development with the shops at Grassdale LLC.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Wallace. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilman Moreno. Is there a question to the motion? Or additional questions? Yes, ma'am.
Is there additional parking anywhere else in the area, in that space? Like
I don't
with
know if you're
other-
familiar with the area, but this is
I'm
directly in
not.
front
I'm
of
trying to find
the
it.
Grassdale Apartments, right next to HT Fitness. There's an apartment complex right behind. These are the 2 lots in front of it. They're commercial.
You pull up
what
your,
else is in the area? It's
You pull up the map on Google. You said you did?
Yeah, the apartments behind are gated, so there is some parking over there, but it's fenced and not for use by any of the retail pads. The other retail pad is still undeveloped.
So, yeah, my understanding is it's going to be 2 pads there. Possible.
On that undeveloped pad you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we've been looking at as kind of a 2-pad scenario over there. We've gotten some interest. We've laid out several site plans. It looks like that will be kind of a 2-pad scenario on that side.
Okay. Did you find it? Sort of.
if I can provide some context. So say you're coming down 973, you just left Walmart, you make a right-hand turn going east on 290. So you're going to pass the Club Car Wash, you're going to keep going down. That first apartment complex you see on your right just after HT Fitness, that's where this is.
The second one. The first one is 55 or older.
Second, my apologies. I always forget because it's behind the car wash, so that's the first thing I see.
But it was before, it's after you pass going into the apartments, not before you go into it.
Yeah, it's before you get to it. Yes.
It's before you get into it. Don't they have like a water tower in front of those apartments?
Yeah.
They have that water tower, those apartments in Grassdale? Yeah.
And so the only entrance in there is like you're going into the apartments.
So that's a shared access drive. You would turn into that shared access drive because there's like a bus stop in there as well, so it's already used pretty publicly. They'll turn off to the left.
Okay, yeah, I see it now. Yeah, gotcha. Thank you.
Other questions? Do we have a motion and a second? If there's no other questions, then we will take a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 5-1. All right. What's my, there we go. All right. Next up, consideration, discussion, and possible action on allocating funds for senior transportation in the city of Manor. Team, you remember we did this a while back. Good gracious, 22? Yeah, it's been a while. We said we were going to want to commit to supporting senior access and the work that they do for that. I thought we did some type of ordinance though, didn't we, at that time? We didn't do an ordinance to or a budgetary item to for annual contribution in the language in 22. It was a resolution. They didn't. Okay. All right. I thought we had made a long-term commitment. What we have before us is an opportunity to support senior access. I've had a chance to attend some of the regional meetings and just kind of listen to the needs. And earlier this week, I was over at the new Maynardtown Apartments 2 and talking with a lot of our seniors. And I talked with Ms. Fowler at the Lions Club and Mr. I always want to say James, but it's Jesse, right?
Mr. James.
James, okay, yeah. So I was right. And they just talk about a lot. They still have a lot of transportation hopes. And so Senior Access is one of those entities that I definitely brought the information that I had from the two of them at the last meeting I went to for Senior Access, and there's another one coming up. And so the seniors I met this week, I definitely passed it on. They want to do more things in-house, and we definitely need to see what it's going to look like at some point in time for them to provide more support with all the retail and restaurants coming in the area. So, but anyway, I know this is a big investment for them that they receive from us. So, any questions about it?
Yes, I have something to relay. My husband went in the hospital in December to get a second leg amputated. And I reached out to the hospital people, the resources, to find out about transportation for him to be able to get to his appointments. And they weren't able to provide me. They didn't provide me with anything. So I reached out on my own and I called Senior Access. Senior Access number is 512-310-1060. I know that because I've called it so many times and gotten no response and no answer. No one has called for weeks. For weeks, I could not get a call back. Today, my husband had a doctor's appointment and my son had to take off work to take him to that because I can't get transportation to Manor to get my husband to his doctor's appointments.
Thank you very much.
I would like to add on to that. There are stories with my neighbors as well. And if it wasn't for myself being available or some of my family being available, they would not have been able to make it to their appointments, their follow-ups, and it's been for severe things. And being feeble and not able to even walk to a certain space, like there's been the hand-to-hand access where they will at least walk you off the transportation and make sure you're being handed over to someone that works in whatever the healthcare place you're going to. And that hasn't been done with fidelity like it should have. And so it's been better that they don't help you in, maybe even putting in some of your if you're in a wheelchair bound or having a cane to walk with, just having that customer service that's required, or just having that and getting someone to call and talk to them on the phone to make sure that they're there. And of course, with our traffic going from one place to the next, you do want them to be early enough and on time so you can make your appointment. For the little times that they had used the service and tried to get the help, they were late to their appointments and had to cancel, reschedule, whatever. So it's a great opportunity, but I would love for Manor residents to have it operate with fidelity as much as possible.
Well, Councilwoman Weir and Councilwoman Hill, I appreciate this information. And that might allude to the request of why they're saying they need more transportation support. They never mentioned that as an issue. They just said they need more transportation support. So I definitely will think this information needs to go back to their meeting. That being said, and let me say this to you, Councilman, where I'm so sorry that you experienced that, and Robert experienced that. That's terrible. Yeah, that's not what we're trying to foster here. So,
Also, our seniors do a foster grandparent program
mhm.
at the ISD, and now that the pre-K center is no longer there, and the kids are now spread out, the seniors were having trouble getting to the different locations. And I remember Senior Access putting it out there that they needed more drivers, and they were asking for volunteer drivers. So I'm not sure if their program is actually viable for Manor because of the fact that they don't have consistent drivers.
So this may come into play, sir, when we've been talking about that ride share program that we've been exploring.
Right.
And so we got to do. We have to. It's an agenda item table, so we need to get a motion. And then what I'd like to also do, council member, is maybe get two of you all, and we form some kind of follow up on this data, and maybe get some more concerns from our seniors, and go from there. Because I think that's going to be informative for that the ride share thing, but also feedback we need to get back to. I'm drawing a blank on it. Sarita. Yeah. Okay. All right. Motion.
Can we choose to table this one until we get further information? We can postpone it until we get further information.
I mean, y'all make the motions, then we vote. But it sounds like there's a clear thought about moving forward with anything right now until we get more data, and it sounds like there's a desire for another solution. So whatever you all motion, I'll accept the motion and we'll vote on it.
Mayor Council. Wait. Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we postpone. What was this item number 14? I have to have a specific date. Okay. I make a motion that we postpone item number 14 until we get additional information.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Ware. Any questions to the motion? I'm sorry. Councilwoman Mesqua. Any questions to the motion? Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Denying it. It's always whatever the motion is supporting that or coming up with another motion. All in favor? Against? All right, so that motion fails. Is there another motion for item number 14?
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we deny item number 14.
We have a motion on the floor to deny the authorization of financial support to Senior Access Agency in amount of not exceeding $10,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Weir. Is there question to the motion? Mr. Moore, I don't know how long all this would take, but we definitely probably have to have some conversations soon with them and kind of go from there based off of that information.
I think the question is we can have them come to us and be present. Then that way you can ask the questions and be very specific on some of the personal experience, and even the number. If the number's not correct, they need to get an updated number. But again, we don't know those answers without them being able to answer that. But I think the next time we have the 2-on-2 or get with them, but have them come to the council and present, make their
Maybe that
request
instead of agenda item or presentation.
Yes,
so
sir.
it can be dialogue. Okay. All right, we got a motion on the floor. Any other comments, questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item number 15. Consideration, discussion, and possible action on authorizing letter of support for the Senior Access Federal Transit Administration grant. Subtotal. Let's see. This is related to Campo and their support for senior access, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was there a deadline on this?
I think they have to have it submitted by February 27th.
We have a meeting before then? Okay. So, Councilmember, you have options since we're not doing that one. Let me ask this. If, in regards to the grant, is there, do we know if there was a portion set aside for the city of Manor, or is it specifically for Manor, or is it for the area?
I think it's for their entire service program for senior access.
Okay. So really the question is, do we want to, our letter of support is just to help them to get the grant for whoever they're going to serve. So our vote for helps them get money to serve their area of service. Our vote against our vote against does not give them a letter for their grant to support the area that they're trying to get funds for.
That's
and
correct.
Because it's a federal grant, they need support from surrounding cities.
That's correct.
Questions, council members?
If we deny this one, they can bring it back to us if they come back with the information that we need.
I think if they were present, then they can answer the questions. I think the letter, just like most federal grants, you would want a letter of support from a municipality where they have had some presence. And if we go back to the 23, we can ask the question, or did you get grants? Because I think they had multiple cities that submitted a letter of support on their behalf. And I think that'd be similar to this. They may still get support, but again, it would just strengthen their case if they have another municipality where they've got ridership on their books.
Okay. Other questions or motion?
Mayor, Council, I'd like to make a motion that we not approve and not authorize a letter of support to the Capital Metropolitan Planning Organization for the Senior Access Federal Transit Administration 5310 grant.
Well, motion on the floor by Councilwoman Weir. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Masco. Question for legal. Is there any ramifications on the denying it now and bringing it back in a later meeting for this letter of support?
No, you can always bring items like this back. You don't have anything in your code or your city charter that would prevent you from bringing it even at the next meeting if you wanted to do that and you had additional information.
Okay.
So no ramifications.
Thank you much. Any other questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. All right. So just reach out to them, sir, and we'll go from there for the presentation and then the letter. City staff, consideration, discussion, and possible action on the resolution authorizing the purchase of executive. I was trying to get through. All right. Screen went blank. There we go. All right. City Council will now convene to executive session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code in accordance with authority contained in Section 551.071, 551.078, and Section 1.05 Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct to consult with legal counsel regarding the Entrada Glen PID, Section 551.071, Section 1.05 Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct to consult with legal counsel regarding public safety, Section 551.071, Section 551.072 Texas Government Code, and the Section 1.05 Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct. Consult with legal counsel regarding the purchase of the tourist property, a 0.05/7 acre tract of land, and Section 551.087 deliberations regarding economic development negotiations. Time is now 10:37. City Council will now reconvene to open session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 5.1 Texas Government Code and take action, if any, on discussion items in closed executive section. Number 16, consideration, discussion, possible action on a resolution authorize the purchase and closing of a tract of real property consisting of 0.0597 acres more or less located in Travis County, Texas, plus closing costs, title insurance costs, providing for approval of a purchase and sale agreement and amendment to the agreement and providing for related matters. Is there a motion on the floor?
Mayor and Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution number 2025-06, purchase and closing of a tract of real property consisting of 0.0597 acres more or less located in Travis County, Texas, plus closing costs, title insurance costs, providing for the approval of the purchase and sales agreement and an amendment to the agreement and providing for related matters in an amount not to exceed $18,000.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilmember Moreno. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Mesco. Any questions to the motion? No questions. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Time is 10:38. This meeting is adjourned.